All right. We are now live streaming. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Aquarius, and so is that guy. But mostly me. So anyway,
What's wrong with his face, dude?
how you doing, everybody?
All right, what was that? Well,
How you doing,
well,
Brett?
let me try to word my question into society, like the right way. Why do
Okay.
we even care about people's lives?
Hmm.
That sounded a bit more narcissistic than,
Why do we care
but
about
why?
people's
Like,
lives?
like, all right, we obviously don't care about all right. I'm not saying we don't. I know there's like half the population say we do, but I'm saying like there's obviously a group,
We do?
like all right, everybody in society, I suppose, genuinely follows the idea that like, well, no, no,
We do?
no, that's not true either.
I don't know if we do. I mean, I think we might
I can't.
care about
I'm
people's
just
lives,
saying, like
but do we purposely? I
it.
mean, honestly, we just sit there thinking in our little head box all day, and then somebody else comes up and talks to us about something. It's like, oh yeah, that's great, but let me tell you about my day. This is what we do all the time. It's just
Well,
like even I
it's like
just interrupted you right
at
now.
what
It's like
point
I don't care what you're talking about. Listen to
at what
me.
point is it stooping to their level? At
Yeah.
another point, is it like solving the problem? I mean, I don't know. It's like stooping the level would solve the problem a lot of times
Hmm.
because it's just like, do you see how stupid you sound?
Yeah.
I mean, it just I feel like that might be the only way, stooping at their level. It's like I said, my new bumper sticker that I'm gonna make was your body, your choice, my eyes, my choice.
Hmm.
Because, I have the right to look wherever I want to look.
I
You can't
suppose.
tell me otherwise.
Hmm.
You choose to, if hey, I guarantee the Muslim people won't care about that one. When the women are all wrapped up and their burqas and all that kind of stuff, that they're not gonna care. They're gonna be like, yeah, what are you gonna see on me? Nothing. Nothing but what I want you to see.
I think they
You know,
thought that
these
that
these
was
girls
for
want
the
to
men to
want to
not
look
do,
off,
but I think the women do that on purpose so that the
but
men
it's like they
won't
want to
get.
they want to dress all flaunty and all that kind of stuff. And then if like that girl, because I just saw that video where that girl has a thing in her back pocket, and she's like, "Look at all these guys looking." It's like it's because they're seeing a phone in your back pocket. It's nothing to do with like your butt. Because like if they did look at your butt, like you know what I mean, your phone's already there. Like it'd be weird at that point. Like everybody, you see everybody, they're all looking directly at the phone. You can see their eyes looking at the phone. If it was like slightly off, where it's like looking a little lower to the right, because their phone's in the back left pocket, so that, you can see that. Then you can say, "Oh, they're all looking at my butt," you know.
Yeah,
But
it'd
like,
be the same thing with some of those women that wore the tails in the back of their pants to make it look like they have a tail, and saying, "See, guys like to look at my butt." Well,
I
they're
don't know. I
not
just
used
think
to
it's just
seeing
like
these tails. I mean,
it,
now you're,
my eyes, my choice.
you know,
You go out in public. You go out in public. My eyes, my choice. Beyond that, I
hmm.
don't. All right, yeah. I admit I can't like go up and say something. And I mean, first off, I'm a married man. It's not like I'm just trying to speak for the people,
For
for the men
the
here,
other men there,
the
like
other
me,
men here. Like I'm like a regular Andrew Tate. Trying to speak for other men.
the single guys like me, you know.
But I'm just saying, my eyes, my choice. It's
Hmm.
why not? Like why can't we just make all the slogans right back? People get so mad about when as soon as they put like Blue Lives Matter, they're like, what? What? The people of Black Lives Matter were just like, you can't like copy our slogan and just
Hmm.
change the meaning slightly. Or all lives matter. All lives matter. Like, whoa, like you can't. I don't know. It's the same thing. Like people's slogans. Like let's just make our own. Let's just make all of our own. What are the other slogans that are popular right now?
Hard at the moment, no. But
Um,
yeah, I think it comes down
making
to. I think it just
making
comes
Joe
down
Biden
to like forgiveness and
slogans.
stuff. You know, it just comes
So I
down to
should just
that.
turn the other cheek. Because turning the other cheek
Well,
doesn't seem to educate them. It seems like they
well,
just want to take. It's like everybody's so far gone.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
It-
There are situations
It's
where
like
it's good to
it's
forgiveness is
not like
better
they're
to.
ignorant and you can do something. They'll help. No, I don't know. They'll just try to take advantage of you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, forgiveness is great after the fact, you know, to work on it and to get that accomplished. Um, are you falling asleep? Oh.
No, I was listening.
Anyways, like if somebody's like constantly beating on your head with a hammer, and you tell them stop it, you could say I forgive you, and he'll keep beating on your head with a hammer. You're gonna probably eventually die. You gotta make him not do that. And if you have to resort to fighting him or something to make him stop, then you made him stop. I mean, Jesus said it was good for people to defend the people they care about. There's no greater love. So you have to protect yourself. You have to protect other people. But that means that after the fact, if you do that, or however that happens, you have to find a way to come to some kind of forgiveness for it. Because really, in the end, this is just somebody's attacking somebody else because somebody attacked them. And then that just creates this chain effect. If at some point we can slowly
Excuse me.
slow that down to the point that it's not a moving train anymore, it'll eventually disappear. Now, when that will happen,
the Democrats' way of seeing it is like just try to like alter the past so people won't really know, and then they can just
and that's the thing.
Did you see that Ruth Bader Ginsburg statue? I mean, I would feel like Ruth Bader Ginsburg would be like, "Please take that down of me, bro." Unless I got like Babylon Bead or something like that. She got like her hair's in the shape of horns, and her arms have octopus tentacles coming out of them.
Oh, she's Cthulhu.
Yeah, basically. It's very, very weird. The whole situation is very, very weird. I don't know. But yeah, we want to take Thomas Jefferson statues down.
Yeah, about that.
That one can come up.
Yeah. That's the hard part about life is we look at a couple bad qualities of what happened in the past, depending upon how seismic it was or how little it was, and we want to tear it down. And that's not what we're supposed to hear. We're supposed to be here to remember, to forgive, but also to remember that we were forgiven and forgave, so that we can recognize those hurts and let go of those hurts. I mean, it'd be better to make statues of that than anything else. Like make a statue of two different groups that were fighting each other, coming together, hugging each other. Now that would be a real statue to have. It's like after all that fighting for them to finally break the cycle. Because I think that's why people even believe in the reincarnation cycle. We're not breaking that cycle. And even Jesus talked about forgiveness. We're not breaking that cycle. The most important thing Jesus ever talked about, and if you're a Catholic or in a religion of some kind, you might be like, the most important thing Jesus said was to share his body and blood. No, the most important thing Jesus said was forgiveness. That was the thing he harped on the most. That was the thing he talked about the most. So it depends on if you're going to be with this thing or you're going to be with what Jesus had to say. One of the last things Jesus had to do to come back, being dead, being forgiven by Peter by having him say he loved him while he was dead. While he's dead. Isn't that's miraculous. Now, that's like kind of like the ending of a lot of movies we see. They all come back together. It's like, oh yeah, everything turned out right. That's why we watch some of these movies, because we kind of were looking for that answer. But that's what we should make statues of, Brad. I think probably more.
Left me speechless on that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured I'd take your breath away with that one. Either that or the smokes. I don't know which one.
All one and the same anymore.
Oh man. Yeah. So, I thought we were talking about angels today, or else we're just literally winging it. Maybe we're talking about angels.
No. Today, tomorrow we go to the grocery store. And, we're very budgeting on our grocery store. And it's not necessarily a money issue. I mean, sure, a little bit, but it's just more along the lines of like I don't. I'm trying not to be like a glutton. Like I like to eat every day and eat well every day, but
You
like at the
do?
same time, well, I finally I finally got it down to
A
like
science?
Mondays is pizza day. Like I make my own pizza because Sundays I'll make all the doughs. I make all the doughs like for bread rolls and for I
Do you
make the
have the
pizza
bucks to do
dough.
it?
I'll make the focaccia dough. I just buy my regular white bread. I'm not gonna lie, it's easier. I know it doesn't taste that good, but I mean, I can make an
White
Italian
bread
roll,
to
but I
me
don't
only
know.
tastes good if I toast it. I have to toast it all
I
the
mean,
time.
I can make white bread, but it's just
If I toast it, then
in order to make it that nice and fluffy and soft and all that. I mean, I kind of have to make it unhealthy just the same as what they do. So it's cool. I like to make more pizza doughs and stuff like that, and thin breads, and dip them with some tomatoes and onions and olive oil and
I've been eating a lot of Mexican foods lately. I don't know why. More tacos,
well, that's Taco
enchiladas, and stuff.
Tuesdays. That's Taco Tuesdays. You know.
So what is the difference with like what you make with this? Do you just go straight up Spanish food most of the time,
So well, well, well,
or is different types of Spanish food different? Like,
all right. So you want me to go through my entire list here of every day?
yeah, give
I
me your
mean, like
grocery
not
list right
all right.
now. Put it.
First off, not everything is always like definite, but like pizza Mondays, like we can make breadsticks. It doesn't like the pizza could be a traditional pepperoni pizza that we make. Usually I like to just make them deep dish. It's just a lot easier because if I mess up, it's just super easy. Just put it in the cast iron and make a deep. It's just super easy to make a pizza and it tastes delicious. Trying to make it in the old, normal way. I got a small little board, and it's like ceramic that doesn't really do that well because it's crappy. They don't come out that great. I got to turn the oven up to 500 to get it. I got to make sure it gets hot. Got to let it. So I got to let it preheat for a pretty long time. Nothing can go wrong on that slide too, in that tiny little oven. But I'll make pizzas in there every once in a while. It's and they're good too. They're good. You just got to make sure you got to sit like 20 minutes. You got to bake them like 20 minutes. Or maybe a little bit less, 18 minutes. Gotta watch it. Gotta watch it if you're at 500.
Do you make the thick ones or the thin crust?
I try to make them more thin. I
Hmm.
mean, I try, it's regular crust, regular traditional, not too thick. The deep dish, it always gets thick.
I
It
like the
always
thin
gets like
crust
gummy
recently a lot,
because I
actually.
because I put diastatic malt powder in my pizza dough, and that makes
Malt
it more
powder?
gummy. Yeah, diastatic malt powder. Ooh, it tastes delicious on its own too.
Never heard of that.
Good. Oh yeah, it's the secret ingredient to good pizza dough. A
Is
little
that
bit of
just
salt too, but
essentially powdered up aspirin?
is aspirin malt powder?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's really good though.
I have no idea.
I think or there's diastatic. I don't know I don't even know what it is. I don't even know how you say it. But it is malt powder, some kind of malt powder.
Hmm.
Either way, it's very very. It makes your pizza dough gummy. It makes your dough like gummy,
Hmm.
chewier. So it gives that nice, firm. You can get it. You can get a thin
Is that
crust
what like
and still
Papa
be nice and
John's
firm.
does? Because I noticed that like their cheese is more together. It's more like you bite into
I
it. It
don't.
doesn't like, bleh, kind of just,
Well, it's
you
just the
know.
dough. There's nothing to do with the cheese.
No, it's the cheese. It's the cheese kind of. Well, what's kind of cheese mixed with the dough? But the cheese and the dough kind of mix together somehow, and they kind of like they kind of.
I get.
I don't know how to
I
describe
get.
it.
I mean, I guess.
Hmm.
I guess I know what you mean. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe you're right then. I mean, you
So
could be very well. I don't
so
really eat too much out pizza. I don't really pay attention too much. But I mean, I know the difference. Papa John's is sweeter, and Domino's is right there in the middle. Pizza Hut's pretty greasy.
you know what I was thinking
It's
though.
just how I know them.
What I was thinking besides the food topic that we could talk about, because
Could go on
what
for hours.
We could go
I
on
only
for.
got they only know about Taco Tuesdays, and I didn't even get into all the variations of tacos.
Have you ever made a? Well, okay, I'm not going to get into that. I'll ask you later. But
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say with what Jesus had to say, I wonder if they left out like how there's all these other books that the Nag Hammadi and all that. Wonder if they left out some stuff or some stuff wasn't translated perfectly from way back then till now because like some things that Jesus said with the way we look at things now, how do we know if Jesus was like what you were mentioning before with some of these priests and stuff going with certain things? How do we know if Jesus was advocating for some things or not, which I think in some ways from one translation is very small, but anybody that hurts the little ones, it'd be better for them to have a millstone wrapped around their neck, which is basically for oxen to push plows and thrown in the ocean. So essentially for them to be heavy weight on them and then for them to be drowned because they're hurting the children. It's a bad thing, for people to hurt the children, but in what way to hurt the children? In any way? In all ways? A particular way? So like in that instance, like what do we do with, this whole new trans movement with all that and all these other people going on with trying to be accepting of pedophiles and things like that? Honestly, I don't think pedophilia should be accepted because honestly, it's like abuse, hurt people. So if a child grows up that was abused, now they are in tune going to want to hurt other children because they're not going to be told that it's wrong.
I guess what we
I'm
need
trying
to
to
do,
get to
what we need
like
to do is,
an
all
idea
right,
like
what we need
how do we
when it comes
translate
down
that
to
from the past
when it
into
comes
the
down
future if we don't have a perfect
I'll explain.
translation?
I'll explain it like
Right?
this. I'll explain it like this. When it comes down to the pedophilia factor, it's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
We have laws. Laws are put in place.
And I get that, but there's a
Very,
lot of
very,
people
they're
that are
very, very
trying to change that to
well.
be tuned
Well,
into. Okay, go ahead.
They can go ahead and try to change that, but in reality, we can see all over the country that those people aren't really winning the arguments when it comes down to like actual wall making and
Yeah. Now,
whatnot. I mean, like the defund the police, they're like, let's fund them more than ever. And like you see it now, Antifa,
mm-hmm.
let's actually like give them like federal like felonies and like these people are going to jail, like they're terrorists and stuff like that at this point. Like
Yeah.
you had your summer of love as they gave you, but if you're still in the group now, after and you're still trying to burn cop cars and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's done. Like you had your year of terror, and now they're like whoever's still choosing to like revolt is going to go to like jail, big boy jail, and it's just over. So I mean, like they're losing this. You can see people like New York, like they're and their brand, but like you see the mass amount of people just being like, yeah, your brand is like rats. Like nobody
Yeah.
wants your brand. And he also like knocked on Kansas. Like, what did Kansas do? Like seriously, I was
They
trying to
made
think.
music?
Like,
I mean,
but that's
they
what I'm
made
saying.
pretty
Like,
good
but,
music.
like,
I
all
don't know
right,
why you'd
there's
be
lots
angry
of
with Kansas.
states. There's lots of states you could say like, yeah, well, Alabama. You got those like history, and even like I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania, but you could still say Pennsylvania. Like there's lots of things crappy, but Kansas, like they're just
They just
only
hit.
thing I knew about Kansas was like corn. That's the only thing I knew is it's flat
No, I
and
don't think their
Wizard of
songs were.
Oz.
I don't think their songs are corny, man.
There's songs about. I'm just saying in general, like
No,
what?
Kansas,
Why?
the band.
Oh, the band. I'm talking about the state.
Okay.
But the mayor of New York was saying like he goes we when people think of New York like we got a brand in this, he goes like we're not like Kansas or something. He said something like just like putting down like what did I'm serious, like as far as I can tell Kansas is
He's
like the
trying to
most
make
like
a weird, stupid joke saying
simple-minded,
something like,
and
"We're
not in a
not in
mean way.
Kansas anymore." Maybe was he trying to do that? I mean, that would have been.
That's not what he was
Oh, well,
saying.
that would have been an intelligent joke.
But
I would have made that joke.
it's just like I don't know. I never thought of Kansas as like a negative. I just thought like, Kansas. I guess maybe you could be like Kansas. There's still some like ancestry and stuff like that. But I think that's more like Mississippi and again like Arkansas and stuff like that. I don't even think that's really true. I'm just talking about stereotypes. But Kansas, like, what is a negative stereotype about Kansas?
Yeah, that might just be a stereotype. I'm not sure.
I just
I mean, I've been down in the States,
maybe
down there
does Kansas got a lot of
few
serial
times, but
killers? Isn't there like a lot of serial killers in Kansas though?
I don't know. I'd have to say probably New
I could be
York and the
wrong.
bigger cities have more serial
I would
killers
say, yeah, I'd say there's probably more serial killers that don't even get caught
I
in New
mean,
York. Though.
they
You
say
don't hear
like,
about them because that would require police work.
I mean, they try to make Wisconsin out to be like, oh, there's those famous serial killers come from there. They're only famous because they were weird. That was the
Yeah.
only thing. Like Dahmer
And
was like,
and you choose to make like
you know,
capitalize off of their story of their life.
and
You
and
could have
not
just like let
not
it
just
go.
Dahmer, but what was the other guy that was super famous? It wasn't was it Ed Gein? I think he made leather bags out of skin, but most of the people were dead.
What's
He
our
pulled them
what's
out
our
of the
future?
he pulled them out of the
20
grave, and then he only killed a few people before he got arrested. So he didn't really.
What's our future in 2070 when like we're in school and you're gonna talk about like Bill Gates and how he killed like 500 million
Yeah,
people
I
and
know,
stuff like that.
I know. They're gonna
Of
be
like
like,
these small fry serial killers,
yeah, they're
people like
like,
Bill Gates.
this person was able to kill so many people through his corporate business and through all these shady connections, and everybody's gonna be like, well, we're not gonna do that, and maybe they'll not have that in the future. I mean, because that is kind of a thing. We look at it and we're like, oh, these philanthropists, they're no, they're getting some kind of
Yeah.
money. They're getting money from something. You don't go out barking up the wrong. You
Do
don't
you have
go
to
up
be
like,
rich to be a philanthropist? Because it's like a philanthropist with money to me is like a dumb combo. It's like you're supposed to be more of like an advisor than like an actual
a real
as like
philanthropist would be a medium income or poor. Basically,
yeah, that's what
essentially
I
a
mean.
homeless
Like
person. He's like, you know what? I don't have anything, but here, you might need this. Here, take this. And then you can have this. If you look at Jesus, Jesus was the greatest philanthropist because he was the poorest person ever. He didn't, people gave him money and he never even had to work for it. True philanthropists like Jesus, you don't see that anymore. You see
I mean,
fake.
he
You
worked
see fake
for it,
people.
bro. He literally died for it.
Well, he performed some of the miracles, but it was more of his message he was trying to get out, and people literally just gave him coins, like you'd give a musician on the street coins for doing a song for you, in that sort of sense. So he kind of worked in that sense, but he wasn't rich. He didn't keep all that stuff. We don't even know if he had any
The guy
coins at the
fed
end.
5,000 people. I mean, like he fed 5,000 people. Like
Yeah, with
I
everybody
mean,
else's food that everybody
all
else
the
brought. He didn't bring it himself. He didn't make it himself. He didn't buy it himself. It was there with them, and he just distributed it to other people, and it was multiplied either
just
by
imagine how that.
himself
Imagine
or
how like. I mean, like
who knows.
exactly. Just
It's
imagine how
just
that must have like
miraculous how it
really
happened.
went down. That like you would just assume that like he would just keep being like like turning or something. Like cutting. It's like well, let's just keep going with this. It's like well, there's a little bit more right here, and he just keeps like cutting it. And it's like but that's a whole. He just cut it on that angle. He took half the fish, but then when he cut it on that, he took half that. But then he kept cutting in the other angle, and he took half the other. There's, there's not supposed to be that many fillets on this fish. Like, how does he keep doing? He's like, we all can get a piece if we just keep, just cut it up. We'll cut it, we'll flip it over, cut it right. And if you flip it on the side, or you cut that little piece, everybody
Yeah.
can get a little piece of this one. The fish, he's like, and that one, he's like, that one's done.
So do you
And
think
it's
that was
like,
really more how it
how many
was?
people
See,
are
he
left?
just
It's like there's
he
still
just
4,000 people. We'll probably need like 4 more fish or something.
Do you think
We'll
that's how
probably
it was? That was the miracle. He figured out how to divide it more evenly for people to have it more, or was it just like more fish, and then just. I mean, I'd like to believe in a miracle side of it, but the practical side of it
I
does make
think the
sense.
miracle, but it is practical and a miracle at the same time when it comes in the world of Jesus, because if you believe Jesus would do it, and with his belief so connected to the God of abundance of creation, it's as if it's what I'm saying. It's you didn't really you don't know it, you don't have to understand it,
Hmm.
but damn it, you believed it, and because you believed it, the food just kept coming. It's just you believed it. And that's what God's trying to show you, that if you guys believed in me, you know, but that's what I'm saying. Belief isn't, oh, I believe you exist. There is a God. Believing is following. And, we'll really only have a little bit of pieces of how to follow. But, you know, right now the main piece is, listening and following Jesus, and accepting when we have to see God where we went wrong, but accepting him as our savior, and Jesus is our savior. It's really the only way, because if you don't accept him as your savior, you're basically just accepting the world as your savior. And you're the devil will let you see you fit. People who reincarnate it's probably a good idea. They can do more bidding if I let them come back, and you're the devil's puppet at that point.
You know what I've realized with what you're saying here, and what even Jesus had to say when he said, "Live in the world, not of it." Um, what I think what he's saying is don't live for the world. Let the world live for you. In a sense, it's not it's because a lot of the times we live our lives like we're living for the world. We're living for that paycheck day to day. We're living to do this person's bidding because they say so. But instead, if you live for, I think it's that spring or that well inside of you that is untapped, that one woman was coming to the well for, that Jesus was trying to describe to her. It's that untapped well within you that you have to give to others. And it comes back to that message of sharing with others that I think most people don't realize. They think we're just in this constant, I take from you, you take from me. Instead of I give to you, you give to me. It's kind of like a difference between a star and a black hole,
Well,
right?
well,
We
that's what
we
I,
look to the star that gives us the nourishment, right? Because it's just giving all the time. All it does is give. The sun just keeps giving, but a black hole just keeps taking and taking. Are we going to be black holes trying to leech off each other somehow? Eventually, we'll devour each other, or are you going to
You think
be?
that's what you become as a lost soul, a black hole.
Maybe that's what those are. Those are lost souls,
Lost.
lost spirits. Maybe I don't know, but
But no, it's funny. It's funny because I was actually saying this week. I was saying, like, I'm a supporter of capitalism. I like capitalism, but like, I'm not. I wouldn't. I would clearly accept that there's definitely better forms of government in the long. And well, capitalism is a form of economy, but I'm saying we tie it all in, in a sense, because government's gone to bed with capitalism,
all right. I'm
basically at
gonna
this point.
I'm gonna get a drink real fast. Go ahead with that.
All right, can you still hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make is when it comes down to like capitalism is I would gladly accept that there's a better form of society. And I even said, like, well, we've even talked about in the past that, like, that there is an idea that like a socialism could be better, but it would have to be, you know,
You can't
implemented correctly and led correctly, in which case we don't have a leader to do so, and also we don't have the correct implementations to do so. So it could not really happen. Like it's just, capitalism is the better way to go. And I agree with you, like, oh, you can say, well, socialism creates more stagnant. I agree with that, but again, that's like I would you would require a moral socialism. It's just more along the lines of like, if you get a little too wealthy, or things get a little too strategized, like it goes more towards all the workers guaranteed than it does just the person who had the idea. And you can say, well, that's risk and reward, but no, I mean it's all risk and reward for every person there. It's always all risk and reward. People choose to work for you just the same way that you chose to start the business. You're clearly going to be on top. You know, you'll clearly have the nicer things, but it's not going to keep being this chokehold that they want to do on people. You know, that I right now the capital is, like we said, we call it corporatism. You know, because corporations run the decision making on how the money gets distributed amongst the people, in the sense of the seller's market of things, and all that's not right. You know, the government should have basic necessity costs for everything in a way. But then you know, I get it. It's all technical. I get it. It just gets really crazy, which is what I'm saying. We don't have a strategy on it, so we can't implement that. So capitalism, currently the way we have it, is probably the better form.
You know what?
Than some made up socialism strategy with only half the I's dotted and T's crossed.
Yeah. Oh, and everybody on YouTube, thanks for coming by, for stopping by to watch this video. But I think I have the answer. I think I know what Jesus was talking about. I think you kind of need
libertarianism.
No, you can't have that. Because then it's just like total anarchy, because you just do whatever you want all the time.
No. People will start to create factions of districts.
Oh, wait.
You pay a rent
I was thinking of just anarchy, in that sense.
Well, yeah, just anarchy. But I'm saying, like, I'm just saying with libertarianism, I guarantee you will get people that'll say, you know, we offer, you know, for this much labor, or this much, you know, $200 this, but it's like, well, what's your value of currency? Like, we offer our own value of currency here and this and that. You know, we have facilities, and you know, like, this is our plane, this is our wall. Like, we have security that also works here. Like, everybody has housing. Like, what's your skill? Like, you'd have, you know, I mean, like, you start creating factions and stuff like that. I guarantee it. You'd start having factions, and certain people would be like, no, you're not welcome here. But outside the walls, you're right, it's anarchy.
I think I figured it out, and you just, oh my gosh, it's taken so long. I've been trying to do a lot of things with my life, trying to figure things out. There's so much I research, there's so much I look at on my own free time to figure out, how can I do this better? How can I get this to work better that I already have, that's already working better, so that it could work for itself in a sense. Now, I could go into stocks, I could work on that kind of stuff, that goes crazy, and I just don't have the mind for it. But other things I try to look into. And one thing I've tried to look into in the past is trying to look into, what is Jesus trying to say? Because he has a serious message. Billions of people follow everything he had to say. There's got to be a reason why there's all these different factions. Why are there 20 different factions of, you know, essentially giant cults or religions saying opposite things of what he had to say? What he had to say with the temple, the washing of the dishes, all that kind of stuff, what he was trying to say, even with going to the temple and whipping the animals out, it wasn't a place for sale. This wasn't the place for capitalism. This is a place for people to come to, for you to give them something that they need. The temple was supposed to be where the socialism is. Outside of that, you have the bazaar, or you have the capitalistic idea where you can trade goods for goods. But certain areas should be designated for places for you to be generous enough to give more of what you have. Because if you just went straight up capitalism or communism, you're going to end up with a god tier ship in communism all the time. Or in capitalism, you're going to end up with Bill Gates, Elon Musk, people that are very, very at the top. You're going to have one or the other. You're going to have a human god, or somebody that has worked their way or scammed their way to the top to get as high as they can. Now, the only way you can get it where you can have people getting goods from other people in a good way, it isn't by these fake donation sources that you can't know your money's going to. It's by your local area, where, like, your Goodwill or something like that, your local temple area, where you can give to people, and not that they sell it off, but they save it for people that truly do need it. So to actually have a real area where you
but
can
I
give to
think
others what you have more of does end up helping them out. That I
I
think
think
that's
that
what Jesus was trying to say.
the problem when it comes down to a lot of this stuff, and if you think about it, the old style churches had a lot more room for housing and stuff like that around them. But
Hmm.
nowadays, that's the thing. Like people look,
And if
I'm
people
not
can
gonna say
come by
nobody.
and
I'm not gonna say
go to the
nobody,
place too.
but people don't really need more like coats half the time. So like there's always like extra coats and blankets aren't really that expensive, and there's like you can get extra blankets like you see even when you go to like I know Colorado or I mean California is not cold necessarily. You don't necessarily have homeless embankment camps in New York as bad. But like I'm just saying, like people will get warm. They'll find ways to get warm and stuff like that. They'll have like 4 or 5 coats, and they'll have like old sweatpants and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But sometimes,
Like
I mean,
what?
that's just a material that wears out. And for homeless people going around, they wear out their coats fast because
Well,
they're grinding it on the streets and on the ground all the time
right,
by laying on the ground,
right.
and so they
Well,
wear
that's what
out
I was getting
fast.
into. The problem really
You know.
comes down to is like shelter and routine.
Hmm.
They can't they if they had a routine. Now I get it. Like we have a problem where like, again you can start separating homeless people and lazy people. There is a difference. There's lazy people who realize yeah, you can just bum it out in Chicago in California. I keep saying Chicago, but Chicago's a shithole too.
Oh,
But people like
I've
you just
seen plenty of homeless people in Chicago, man. I've walked around there. I've seen them.
I don't know, it's just all it's just
Maybe not as much as New York because I've been in New York and I've seen that too. But Chicago is like the smaller version of New York, I think, in a sense. All big cities are kind of the same. It's,
well, what does Jesus say about cities?
what did he say about cities?
I thought he said some things about cities. He doesn't like
Uh,
cities, does he?
I forgot.
Or
No,
is it all just God?
no,
I
he
guess
was in.
God just doesn't really like cities.
If he was helping out as many people as he was in kind of some bigger areas. Um, Maybe not all the time,
Cities
but
can say what does the Bible say about cities?
well, Jesus said to the apostles later on to go around and go to people's
Mhm.
houses and stay with them if they'll accept them. So the same thing applies to today. There's no point in wasting all your time with someone who's not going to accept you. There's just no point. You just kind of killing time.
So these are all. I don't know. I don't like big cities.
Yeah. I'm
I don't
not a
like big
huge fan of
cities.
myself. I like to go to them sometimes, summertime, maybe walk around and stuff, but I like nature a little more than I like the city. And everybody's different too. There's women I've dated that just only like the city, and some that you
That's
know
what I mean. I don't understand how people can only
like.
like the city and stuff like that.
I
I
guess
hate all
they
cities.
I guess they feel comfortable being a sardine.
To be honest, I hate all suburbs anymore. Even
That's getting
I
close
know
enough to
there's
being a
not.
city now. Considering
I
how many
know there's
people are
not
in
enough land
summer.
necessarily to like give everybody just like open fields and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It's just people look at the city because it's nice because you can walk to like almost anything you want or get
Hmm.
take a taxi or bike ride or whatever. But it's just I don't know. It's just so loud and big
Yeah,
and like man made.
yeah, that's the thing. It's just the Old Testament. I think it says anything is man-made is evil. And I always wondered,
Well, that's
like, couldn't there be something that man makes is good? I mean, I don't
but
think
that's what I
everything that he's made is evil. But then again, I mean, what about vitamins? Are vitamins evil? because you take a vitamin, it's supposed to be good for you. Is that evil? Now, considering that the water has been so
But that's
purified, there's no minerals left in the water. Now you have to go get a vitamin, and because when you're drinking water, you're not getting the minerals from the water. Now you got to have a vitamin. Is that evil?
I wonder though. That's what I'm saying. Like, is the pyramids evil? Is all of that like evil in the long run?
I was wondering that myself.
Because this is what I'm saying. If it was originally how I thought about it with Adam and Eve being like intelligent when they left, you know, the basically heaven, you know, the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on this earth. The Garden of Eden was not here.
Yeah.
You know, when they had to leave and they had to come to this place. Like I said, I think that they were intelligent. I think that like maybe they even created the pyramids and stuff like that. Like they saw all these problems with the planet that they needed, and that's what I'm saying.
I'm
Like
wondering if
they didn't.
they're the last remnant of that age. You know, because I mean, just starting with Adam and Eve, I think so many stories have played telephone for so long that I don't really know what the initial origin was, because even Jesus said he came to fulfill the Old Testament, or he came to fulfill what people were going to know of the past, but he never described the origins.
I
And
don't know.
he decided to talk, what he talked about made a lot of sense, but like comparing it to the old stuff, it's like, well, what does that old stuff even mean compared to what he's saying? Because some of it just totally contradicts
Yeah,
what
but
he's
that's what
even
I'm
talking
saying.
about.
I think that's why they call it Genesis, though, because it's all about the beginning. You know, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of that is just stuff that's also been. It was like I said, museums are the bad ideas in the long run because we collect all these great artifacts, put them all in one area, and then all it takes is somebody to destroy or raid that one area, and everything of that from multiple sections is gone. The lost technology is
Yep.
gone. So what happens is like previous generations, and I'm talking like the 26,000 year, generational Earth wobble and all that before cataclysmic events. Previous ones, they did leave all that stuff behind, and the next group after it was all destroyed in the mud, they spent their time digging it all up and finding it and stuff, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
wow, we found more technology and this and that, and they used it and probably made some of it work, and that's what I mean, like you had those dark and all that, but again it just got wiped, and now it's like it's gone, it's all gone over time. That's what I mean, you had a lot of wars and stuff, things got destroyed.
Yeah.
They made themselves dumber and dumber throughout the last 26,000 years, like we did.
Mm-hmm. I think
I
the
mean, we're
fact is,
dumber.
after a certain amount of time, we're so used to the way things are, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm trying to think about, do we want to be too conservative or do we want to be too progressive? Which one is the one that leads us into perdition? Is it us trying to change things? Maybe that's how this all started, us trying to change things. No, we don't want it to be that way. We're going to go and make it this way. And then all this happened the way it
Well,
did.
I mean, you clearly see this Democratic Party people behind it. I mean, Joe Biden's clearly corrupt, but I'm saying there's people behind it who are like satanically weird.
I know.
They're just weird. The trans movement, you know, I mean, there's tons of people, and again, there's tons of even trans people who are like, I don't want anything to do with. But you see this snowball that it felt like, like there's a lot of gay people now who feel offended that this whole thing of like let's allow pedophilia got rolled off from there. They feel, what I mean? It's like, dang it, like, but it's like,
Hmm.
yes, I don't want to be mean, but you are a pawn when it comes down to being used. That you're used.
Yeah,
That's what I
because
mean. The whole
because
LGBT
yeah,
idea is being used to snowball, you know,
it's just
worse and worse ideas.
it's not being used in the way that they wanted. Like there's divergence in nature, there's divergence in life and all that kind of stuff. Like the gay movement and the people that have two different genitalia, born that way. Like which sex do they want to be? They could be both. They could choose one or the other. That I get. But when they try to promote it like you can just do whatever you want and change it, these people that are doing this are mutilating themselves, becoming Frankenstein creatures, and then 10 years later, once they're actually old and not children, they're going to hurt their parents, either physically or mentally, or other people too. They're going to go insane because this is what happens when you let the crazies out. You let the crazies do whatever they want. And this also comes back to not just being that, but parenting
They're
itself.
not crazies. Stop calling them crazies. They're misguided.
What I'm
That's what I'm
saying is,
saying.
when you have people doing a lot of crazy things, if they're attacking other people, they become crazies. And if you
Misguided things.
okay, well, some people are definitely misguided, but if people are going out attacking others because they're angry
They're
about
very
their past,
misguided.
here's the thing: when some people put out some stats as to like how high of a suicide rate there is for people that want to change their gender, it's insanely high. It basically means most of the people that have this idea are, like you're saying, misguided, but misguided to the point of going nuts and doing some nutsy things. We've had this for a long time, and I think a lot of it comes down to parenting. Parents just go do whatever you want, and then the child doesn't have any set of guidance. They don't have any rules. There's no, this is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do. It's just like,
But
do
that's what
whatever
I'm
you want to
saying.
do. And now we're here because of bad parenting. We're here because of bad parenting. This is why we're at this age, because we listen to all these politicians from the
But
past going,
better
do
to,
whatever you want. It's cool, man. Yeah, go ahead and do it. Do all these drugs and do all these bad things. It's fine. And they didn't say it per se, but when you get led to these things, when the CIA is bringing in drugs from overseas to give to people that don't have much, to influence them to be bad, and then you're promoting that too, and you're not looking through the looking glass, you're not seeing with eyes to see, you're not hearing with your ears, you're not listening to what's going on, you're not seeing what's going on. You let it happen, and then bad things just continue to happen. You got to call it out for what it is when it is. And if we grew up in an age where it was just like, it's cool, man, just do whatever you want. And now this is what we got. We got exactly what we want, but what we were led to believe. We never shouted against it. We never did anything about it, and this is where we're at. We could have changed it. We can change it now, but it's going to take some work.
But we never can skip a beat though. It seems like we're always like, if we're gonna change things, we need to, go up or down. We can't like just skip over to there. We can't just like shut down what we're doing, because there's always like somebody that's affected or something.
That's how life is though. But you can't. It's the same thing Jesus said with the talents. The guy that took his talent and buried it, the guy that took his talent, the thing that he was good well with, and hid it. Never did anything. Was just one of those gray men in the background. Never did anything. He was the scum. But the person that used his talent to go, yeah, you're gonna stumble over rocks. You're gonna do things that, not everybody's gonna be a big fan of sometimes, and you're gonna make mistakes. That's life. But
I always think about Blockbuster for nostalgia.
Blockbuster?
And I always think like,
the rental place.
But yeah.
Oh.
Because all right. Do you think Blockbuster like should still be around? Like let's say money wasn't a factor. Do you think there should still be Blockbusters?
I mean, there's still those red boxes, so yeah, I would think so.
Well, but all right. It doesn't seem like you really like. Do you like Blockbuster? Did you like Blockbuster growing up? Or
Yeah,
did you never really
I like
go?
going there and getting movies. There's still rental places around. They're not as big as that chain that I could go to if I want a movie.
Well, there's not really too many rental places around here anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the point that I'm trying to make is it's like streaming destroyed Blockbuster.
Yeah, that was kind of the
Basically,
new way of doing it.
Netflix
Yeah.
came out and Blockbuster just like tanked.
Hmm.
And it was like the end of Blockbuster. Blockbuster tried to get into a streaming plan quickly. It's just too difficult to get the network going. I mean, you probably more, didn't really pan out. And I always think like, well, I miss Blockbuster, but it's our fault. You know, here we
Hmm.
are. We chose Netflix over Blockbuster. Does it seem like a new idea? You didn't need to go to, you wanted to go, maybe every once in a while, like, well, I still went every once in a while, but it's like, well, yeah, but every once in a while wasn't every week. Maybe it's
Hmm.
Blockbuster's over, they were over the head with their ideas of, doing this or that, or the prices were always good. I felt, and they were always giving you those AOL 3.0 discs. I
Yeah.
thought everything, I don't know. I just something about going to the Blockbuster and looking at all the movies and games was like a great thing to do. It was part of
Yeah,
the experience.
it was kind of like a family event too, because you take your
Right.
kid
It was a
there, you take your
family event.
wife there, and it's like, hey, what do you want to see? Hey, you actually get to kind of bond with your family a little bit, being like, hey, what is it that I want to learn, or what is it I want to experience this today? And now with the Netflix, like you're disconnected from that, from your
Yeah,
family and your kid in that sense,
you can
because
still
like
watch
they're
previews and
watching
stuff
their
like that,
thing,
but
you're watching your thing. It's like you don't even get.
it's not the same. And a lot of
Mhm.
people know that. Netflix is getting pickier about letting you share your thing, and a lot of people are saying, like off we go. And Netflix will slowly disappear. And that's the thing of it. Netflix will go, and maybe Hulu and Disney will survive a little bit more because people need some kind of serving service thing,
Mhm.
and I don't think anybody's going to go with Amazon. People will just stay with their Hulu and they'll just cancel Netflix because we don't even really care about Netflix.
Mhm.
I mean, people have cable already and all that. I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, because especially with Netflix, like keeping up really bad TV or movie series things that have been pretty controversial. I know you heard about that,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
that was the reason
They lost a lot of subscribers to
I
that.
canceled mine after knowing that they kept it up.
I wanted
I
to,
thought I
my
heard they
wife
were
said
going to
keep
take
it
it
for the
down, and then
kids.
I found a different streaming service I could just watch sometimes almost for free. I can watch what I want sometimes. So I was like, okay, I'll check that out sometimes. But I don't even really watch that many movies now. Like the movies they have out now. What I like to do is I actually like to go to the
Yeah.
theater, and I like to support the theater because you get to experience that and go with somebody else and sit a comfy seat. It's like you're going out for a night, you know? You get to go outside and do something, besides just go for a walk or run or exercise or it's kind of like, getting out doing something. So I like to support that. I hope that that never goes away, but I feel like when I'm old and I'm not going anymore, other people aren't going to go either because I wasn't able to influence other people to go. I don't have a lot of friends that I can influence to go and do that. Um, so, I mean, I hope that continues, but I don't know. I feel like all these old things we used to enjoy and have in the past are just kind of fading
They won't
away.
continue. And that's what I'm saying. They won't continue because we just getting rid of it. We're just getting rid of it. And that's part of what capitalism does.
Is that what
Capitalism
happened in
like
the past though? Is we were so during that previous cycle deluge, we were so into the futuristic stuff because what I heard, and it could be true, is that what they had in the past was kind of like what we have now with the atomic bomb and nuclear weapons. I think they had some destructive laser weapon. Could have been from coming from the pyramid. Who knows? Maybe that's why they built the pyramid so it couldn't be destroyed by this laser. Um,
well, actually
but
some
but then but then what happened after that is people were like, we're just too into these things. We need to get back into nature. And then after the whatever happened, they all got back into nature and they just destroyed all the old stuff and moved into the future they
yeah,
wanted.
it's
They became
it's getting
naturalistic.
weird though.
I don't
With
know what
George,
I'm
George
wondering about that.
Hancock. George Hancock was talking about on Joe Rogan. about how like his whole concept is all these great civilizations made these pyramids, and he keeps saying that they're all back tied to like taking DMT. He's like the ayahuasca plant and like over in like the Brazilian area. He's like all or the South American area. He's like everyone, all these people are taking, and that was the same thing with the Egyptians. They did the same thing. He's like they all have, take this DMT. He's like they supposedly they don't even have like any connection of each other. But even Jimmy Corsetti said that when he took that DMT, that he kept seeing a being going like this, showing him a pyramid. It's like, what if it was like somehow like an interspatial travel that like they were explaining how to build?
Maybe.
Or like I said, what if there's well, he was wondering if it actually is communicating with the dead.
I
Like
kind of
and
think
maybe
that.
the dead maybe know things and stuff like that, and it's like you're trying to create the portal to the dead.
I think
And
I
that's
think
what
there's a lot of
that's what
weird
they're
things in the afterlife. I don't think
maybe
it's
none of the
as clear.
pyramids ever even got finished being built.
I think there's a
Maybe
lot of
they were
weird
always getting
things
closer and closer.
that happen. No, I think they were fully built, but I think they tore down the top part of that. Um, or they say they're going to enclose it. What I read about the past was that they were trying to say that the past was very much like how I'm just going to say it, the Masons believe they're a part of this brotherhood. You know, but that was the good or the bad brotherhood, but they really weren't. They're just remnants of an idea of what the past really was about. So the whole idea of the past with the Babylon and stuff, they want to believe they're a part of this cult or this part of this organization for that, and they want to try to continue what they think is that. But there's other people that say that they're not. They're not that. So some of these secrets of organizations things, they're not. They want to try to see what they can do for good, and maybe to some degree they have done some good. I don't really. I mean, they don't want to come out and say it per se, but I think the only time that we can, in a record, in a recent historical record, say that some of the stuff they did was good was like George Washington and some of those people with the founding of the country. I think to some degree that was probably some of the best work. Other than that, you can see a lot of stuff they put on movies. I mean, you see some of these movies or you see some of these pictures. Remember before the coronavirus came out and they had that little ceremony in England where the kids were in these beds and they were dancing around, kind of like coronavirus on ice, with all these little death guys, like dancing around with them. These kids are in their beds and they're sick, and they show this coronavirus ball above the thing. It's like they show you what they're going to do before they do it. That kind of stuff, that's magic. Produced at a mass scale. And you might say the same thing about like people going to an area and praying for victims of something. They're also trying to perform, trying to talk to God, trying to talk to a higher power to give help. The stuff that happens now with the magic that's happening now, that they're trying to do with this mass hypnosis, that's on a very bad scale. Now, like what I'm trying to get to with this is the stuff that happened in the past. Maybe they did try to do something bad. And then maybe we're looking at the past and going, oh, they were really good. Maybe there's some people that were good, but maybe it's just the point we get to a point where we're just doing so many bad things that the only way for that to get better is for all these towers to get knocked over. All these prideful towers that were built up, all these things that were made for this glorification of man. And we're just supposed to be sojourners here. We're just supposed to pass on through. We're not supposed to be tied to this world like Jesus had to say. But yet we make this into
Well, that's
our
what I said in the
world.
beginning. Why do
And
we
then
value death so much? Like, why do we care? Like, we value this life. Like, every life matters, and like we
of
have to try
course.
to. But I
But
just
that's the thing. But what you're saying too, like when we get into this separation mode, and that gets confusing too, because conquer and divide. But then why did Jesus say he came to split people in half? I think what he was trying
I
to
don't
say
know.
was his words would split people in half. You can't have that old way with this new way.
The thing is, it's like, look, if a guy comes in to rob a place and gets shot and killed, and let's say he even, shoots the other guy too, and the other guy dies, and like, you know, everybody's gonna, be so upset for the guy, the robber, who cares, that piece of shit killed that guy. It's just trying to defend. Thank goodness he died. One less dirtbag off the streets. Everybody's gonna say it. To me, I just look at it like, well, why do we all criticize the guy who really was so lost that he thought the best option is just to like go and shoot somebody, basically? Like, I mean, like, I don't. When you look at the down to the schematics of like, if it was you, like, how could you get there? I get it, like
A lot of
drugs. I
bad
get it, and
decisions.
a
And
lot of bad decisions,
a lot of bad
and
decisions,
and
and because of your bad decisions, bad things happen to you, but you don't recognize that. And then you still continue to blame the other people, even though
but
you're the one
I
driving.
guess what I'm saying,
You're
what
driving
I'm
your
saying
own
is,
train, and people don't realize this. They think somebody else is pushing their train. You are the engine to your own train. You hitch all the cabooses and all the other little cars to your train as you keep going. People don't
I
realize
understand
that.
on a micro level. I'm not
All that
referring on a
baggage,
micro level.
you know?
I'm saying really the only change can come in on a macro level with things, but it's just that, like, I don't even know where I'm going with it
No,
anymore.
I get
I
what
lost
you're
my train
saying,
of thought. I lost
I'm
my train
saying
of
micro
thought, but
level, but it also goes to macro level because you're trying to, if you were to change your life and say, God will provide, God will help me out. This is why when we read a little bit about what Abraham went through, it was kind of like that in a sense. God will provide. I just know he's going to provide, and he did provide. And the people that have been so lost, they're lost because they're lost. They're far away from the Creator. They're so far away. They're
it just
lost.
annoys
You
it
know.
just annoys me when people are just so angry and upset everywhere. It's just like, I don't know, it just none of it's good. Like, none of, like, no, everybody's so arrogant to teach everybody, and everybody knows better, and everybody's got like, I don't know, it annoys
The
me. Maybe it's
problem
all
is,
just me. Maybe it's all just me. Maybe other people don't even care. That's the truth of it.
well, the thing is, even when I talk about other things like, these other societies and everything, it's just a lot of people want to say, oh, they're all doing great things. Oh, no, they're all bad. There can be good and bad in a lot of things, honestly. But it depends on, like, what are they doing now versus what do they do then? What are you doing now that's better than what you did then? Or what are you doing now that's worse than what you did then? And then we can, but then it comes down to, like, we judge the other people. We shouldn't be judging the other people. We should be judging our own actions and trying to make them better all the time. Because we keep judging other people. Not everybody's in the same situation we've been in. We always wonder when we're in traffic, like, why did that person jump in front of me? He knows that person has no idea what your life is about. And it even, I get infected with that sometimes, and I try to, like, be like, okay, he just, he's probably thinking about something else. Like, what we're living here is we're trying to live our own lives thinking everybody else is knowing us, but they don't.
Yeah. Or everybody else should understand everything we understand, at least.
Yep. And they don't. They don't understand it. That's why Jesus said at the end, what Jesus could have said, if I was Jesus, I'd be like, don't all these fucking idiots get it? God? But he said, forgive them for they do not know what they do. He got to understand it. They just don't know what they're doing. They're stupid. They're not smart. They're making bad decisions.
There as in we're.
Yeah, us make bad
It's all of
decisions.
us.
We make bad decisions, and then then
Our smartest decisions, not as smart as
then we
God's
go
dumbest decisions.
So let's say we go watch somebody like think of a motivational speaker or some highly priestly kind of guy or some very popular. Go watch him.
Joel Osteen, is that
Joel Osteen? Yeah, we go watch him. We think
Yeah.
this guy is such a saintly guy. He's so close to God. I think the closest people to God are the poorest people ever. I don't think the most popular people are closer to God. I think the poorer they are, the closer you are. Look at St. Francis. I think he was one of the closest, probably realistic saints, because he was told to rebuild the church. So what did he do? Physically tried to rebuild a church. But that wasn't the real message. It was about rebuilding what people fell away from. People fell away from the gold that the church was hoarding for themselves and becoming a kingdom again. And I mean, certain people kind of know. That's why sometimes when I see some people that are like really on a bad leg, metaphorically, and they're down on their luck, and if I try to help them out or talk to them, I feel like they're very, very close to God because they're not entangled in this web that we're entangled in every day. They're free. They're free to go where they want. They're free to be who they are inside. And I think we look at all these people that have acquired all this wealth, which Jesus even said his kingdom's not of this world. So if his kingdom and his Father aren't even from here, who's the ruler of this world? Well, it isn't the Creator. Jesus isn't affiliated with it. So we keep giving our attention to this thing that...
I would say he's affiliated with it. I would say he's right now. I get it, but he's affiliated.
But you see what I'm saying? It's like the devil rules the world, and we keep giving him praise, and we keep going to him because it's like, oh, look at the numbers,
that's what I'm saying,
look at the
whole thing is
money, look at the views, look at the respect.
But look at the mystery. That's just no difference, though, of all the stars and all the meanings behind it. To me, it's all part of the devil anymore, anyway. It's just, I don't know. It's just
I think we
you
have
want
to
to be. There's a thin line between being prepared and I don't know, trusting God. Like you want, how much further? Who's going to be further? It's like you said that one time, where it's like, I sent you a guy with a boat. I sent you a guy. There's a thin line between it all, because it's like, you get all the resources to have a good life, and then you go and blow that money on crack.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
you're whose fault is that?
Yeah. And
But
because you know what I realized too, even when I was younger, and this is when I was more of a practicing in my religion when I was younger, but it wasn't just that. It actually wasn't about that at all. I was on a train. I was actually going to Michigan. I was going to go to a school, but I was on a train by myself. I'm, teenager, and this older guy, he comes sat next to me, and I don't know why, but he was talking about God, or he was talking about something. We got in a conversation, and at the very end, he's like, yeah, it's because God did this to me, or something like that. I'm like, yeah, but this is you, and you decided to choose this for yourself. Just because you forgot about him or don't care about him doesn't mean he didn't care about you. You chose all these things for yourself. And he's like, yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. I guess, I kind of wonder. And then he got up, he walked away, but it made him think about it, because I gave him the reminder that just because, and that's the whole thing. We keep going, gimme, 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 because we think of the Father is going to always give us all the time. But sometimes we already have the thing here. We
Yeah,
know how to
but that's
procure
what I'm
it.
saying.
We know how
It's
to work with other people to do it. So it's like it's kind of
but
like
it's
when
no different than how I was, it's no different than how I was teaching my daughter. Sorry to cut you off. I was teaching my daughter today. I told her in the long run, you don't know what's right and wrong. I have to be the one to kind of tell you. See, that's what I've been saying before. Right and wrong is not instilled within us. The devil would want you to believe that if you do whatever, you can have the right path. And I started to believe that with my daughter. I was believing the idea that she'll figure it out. That's the whole point. When they figure it out, they get it right, and then they are trained on it better because they want to do it that way. But the fact is, they don't figure it out. Society will generate, and that's what I'm saying. If society's generating a way to make them not figure it out or figure it out wrong, even
yeah.
they will. And of course, we're figuring it out wrong. We have junk television. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we're not having our 7-year-olds understand, Pythagorean theorems and stuff like that. Like, of course, we're
Mhm.
doing it wrong. But at the same time, I also think teaching a 2-year-old kid the ABCs right away and stuff like that is wrong. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be curious on playing and balancing and understanding good moral connections of family and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Not
And
just
you know
not just getting
that's the
smarter
beauty.
and sing-alongs
Yeah, that's
and
the beauty
words and learning.
of children too, is when they're little, you get to enjoy them being little. So they're teaching you how to be a kid again, and then as they grow, you teach them the ways of the world, how the world is. So they teach you in a way, but you teach them because you have to teach them. If they want to run out into traffic just because they like to run, you got to grab them. And they might kick and scream and be angry with you, but I mean, you're just protecting them from what the world is. They're in a whole different mental frame of mind,
And that's what I'm
you know.
saying. And it's
And
more
and maybe,
complicated than that. It's as
you know,
simple as that with everything, even in the complex situations when it comes down to like, a lot of these detailed things.
mhm,
You want to think that they're being smart, or you want to think that they're being this or that, but oftentimes they just have no clue what they're doing. They're just
yeah,
reacting because time moves forward and they have to do something,
mhm,
you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you kind of have to show them or
yeah,
tell them or give them harsh realities.
yeah. Sometimes you have to be kind of harsh because they're kind of in their own little world. I mean, you don't want to be overly harsh, but you want to be stern with what you have to say, and you got to follow through with what you know. It's like if you're not going to listen to me, then you're gonna have to stay in your room for another 15 minutes. Oh, you're not listening to me. I'm giving you one more chance. If you don't do it, oh, you missed that chance. Now you gotta take a time out. You gotta do, you have to have, because they grow up in this childlike bliss, which maybe that's what heaven is. It's a childlike bliss where nothing bad happens. But in here,
Yeah.
bad things do happen, and they have to learn that in a stern way. And I think even with parenting, what we have now, like I was saying with the crazy people that go crazy, a lot of people are just crazy because they grew up without having any parenting skills, genuinely good parenting skills. Now, I'm not saying like hurting and hitting a child. That's
And we
bad.
don't even
But
exactly
but
know
then
it's the best
but then
parenting.
but then on the back end of that is doing nothing, which just lets them think, I have free reign. I can't get, nothing bad will happen to me. I can just do whatever I want to anybody, and they have to accept it. I can run across the road. They'll have to stop. At some point, somebody is just going to be like not paying attention or not quick enough to stop, and then
or
you die
or
because
or flip
you
out on
decide.
them, you
You
know.
know, so I'm just saying, like that's a little extreme, but even in words, you go up to somebody and you start, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," and then the person is just at their end and they just punch you in the face and you get an aneurysm and die. I mean, you got to realize that other people, This is why they're crazy. They've come to believe that nobody else exists except for them, because there's no
Narcissist.
repercussions. When there's repercussions, you realize, oh my gosh, you exist. I gotta. Okay, okay. I have to respect you because you exist. This is why even in the show, the 13th Warrior. I don't know if you ever saw that, but this one Viking kid, he's standing on the boat, and you see Antonio Banderas, who's playing this Arabian guy, and he talks to the other Vikings in the tent, and he's like, that boy is he's out there standing on that boat. He's been there all morning, and the other Viking guy, he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, why are you just letting him stand here? He's like, he's letting us see him. And Antonio's like, I know he's letting you see him. He's like, well, that's so that, he lets us know that he's real and not an apparition, because they would think people or things that came out of the mist could be an apparition, not real. You have to let the other person know you're real, you exist. And when you run around with the way we have this world, this is why everybody's believing an apocalypse is going to happen. And we could probably reverse that. But when we let everybody believe that nobody else exists, only we exist. Everybody else is an apparition. Everybody else doesn't exist. They're not real. I can do whatever I want. Total chaos, total anarchy, absolute insanity. This is so, besides too hard, too soft, it's kind of like the Goldilocks and the Bears, you got to have just right to get your point across. Not cross lines, but not be like, oh, I don't know what to do anymore. I just can't do anything because, society told me not to do it.
So Wednesdays is Burger Day.
Are you trying to derail me?
And it's just, we keep that one pretty similar. Cast iron skillet burgers. Lettuce, tomato, onion. Tomato, ketchup. Mustard,
did you hear anything
tomato,
I had to say? Are you?
tomato, onion, mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard. Pickles. I take some fries, potatoes. Take some potatoes. Cut them.
Did you hear what I had to say?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure
Of course.
that I exist. So you don't just,
Thursdays is the bake day. Keep it simple. Throw everything in the oven. Bake it at whatever high temperature you need to bake it so everything gets cooked. Delicious. Keep it simple. Bake.
Okay.
Fridays, pasta or soup or like ramen, something along
You don't
those
do
lines.
fish on
Like some
Friday?
Well, we see that's what I mean. If we
Well,
want
you don't
fish, we
have
could
to,
do like fish.
but
We could do fish tacos. If we want steak, we could do like tuna steaks, burgers, or something like that. Like we can always like variable it up. Fish could be a bake. Everything can always be switched. Pizza could have sardines or anchovies. There's a fish right
I
there.
never had anchovies on pizza.
Yeah, like Friday's kind of back
I've had
and forth.
haddock. Is that? Yeah, that's like a little
Haddock.
fish, right?
Haddock's a white, slightly larger fish. Not
It's like
well,
this
not larger compared to some haddock. No, that's a herring.
I guess it was.
Anchovy, sardine, mackerel.
I had baked herring, so I was eating it for a while. Then I looked at what I was eating. I'm like, I can't eat this anymore. If I see a face, I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I gotta cut the head off. I can't eat the head.
But I'm just saying, like we'll switch it up on how we want to do things. Like Friday can also be like a salad day too. It's like soup and salad kind of thing. Like ramen noodles and salad, or it's pretty simple. Lunches and all that's always like the same. Breakfast is always, the weekends are a little more complex, but breakfast like cereal and stuff Monday through Friday, and and then Saturday, call that culture day.
Mystery box day.
Culture day is what we call it. You pick any country you want.
And you eat their
and
country.
and then you eat a meal from their country.
You eat their country. I'm gonna eat India today. Ah.
So basically,
You know
we're
what? You
make
should do that next time. You just draw the picture of like India there, and then you just cut out the picture and like, here, put this in your mouth. And then, kid might be like, I have to eat the paper that you
we're
colored of
making
India? Yes.
we're making plenty, like some like Russian
Don't
dumplings,
do that.
and for breakfast we'll make some. So I think it's called blini. Make some Russian pancakes, which are like thin, small crepes, basically.
Hmm. Hey,
We'll
I
have it
got
with,
a
but they have it with sour cream and jelly, so I'm excited to try that.
I got a quest for you. Find out the little country that I think is in Spain or in between France and Spain. I think it's just
Spain's already country.
no, but there's a little
Portugal?
no, right. Where France is here and then Spain is here. Right around here, I think in Spain, there's a little country that's independent. Find out what they eat. I forgot the name of it. It might start with an A or a T, something like that. There's a little country in between there that Spain and France decided not to eat, and almost nobody knows about it. Sometimes those countries do exist. You don't even know where it is.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Sundays is just leftovers, whatever we have left over.
hmm.
No cooking.
You know what I've thought about too with the days of rest. I mean, that could be metaphorical for like an apocalypse of some kind, maybe. But I've realized you do need to have one day of just straight up physical rest where you're not doing much. Now, maybe I think like preparing foods beforehand. I mean, I know the Jewish people do it. I think that may be a little, I don't know, but I think you'd need like a day of rest. I do like to usually just kind of relax on Sundays. I don't really do much work on that day. I mean, yeah, I'll make food or go out for something, but like mentally, physically rest. You need a day for that just to get your body back into the swing of things. Especially even if when you're sick, it's hard to come back. You know, is Saturday your day of rest, Brad?
Well, I rest on Saturday nights, that's for sure. As soon as we leave these shows.
Oh, yeah. I
I'll
don't
wake
know.
up Sunday morning.
Do you got anything else you want to bring out?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty good too. I didn't really have a whole much. I mean, I had some ideas, but it wasn't like, let's talk about it for 5 hours. It was just some things that just kind of popped in my head here. I'd like to have more. Yeah, it was just I got a whole bunch of stuff on my mind. Trying to think about what I'm going to do with my future situation and all that. But
I know you said don't think about apocalypses, but I'm pretty sure the world's ending in 2 months.
nah, they always think they know the answer. They always think they know the thing. I keep thinking, I got another 40 years. I'm going to be like 120 before I maybe even see anything. I think they have calculations based upon what they think, but everybody's had calculations for a long time. The world is supposed to end in 2020, man. We're 20 years late. We're 20 years late. I don't think I'm going to see anything for any time soon.
All right.
I mean, it's not bad to have some extra leftover food just in case, they try to pull that toilet paper crap again. Remember when that happened?
Yeah.
Oh, let's pull all the toilet because they didn't have a shortage. They pulled the toilet paper that very night. I went around looking just to make sure that was the case. I went to all different places in the lower part of Wisconsin to see all these different stores, some mom and pop stores, some main stores, some regular stores. Everything was down to one within, it was like 1 to 4 hours. Everything was just down. It was like that was purposely done. So maybe have some extra food. Just saying. Always have a little.
Yeah, you know. What if it was? What if that was the whole thing where somebody was just like, "Yo, buy all, like, don't let anybody know, but like we'll get like 5 people to buy a whole bunch, like as much as we can." But, like places like I don't know, places like Walmart had so many, you could never get that many people in on it.
They sent out a notice to everybody, and they're like, "We're gonna have a food shortage. Pull your stocks." And what they did is they pulled their stocks.
Maybe they bought them all online and stuff like that. Bought all that stuff online, still in warehouses.
Yeah, they tried to justify it, but the fact is, you can look back on the where your toilet paper comes from. Like your toilet paper comes locally from the trees that were cut in your area, especially Wisconsin. Wisconsin has tons of trees. We don't get toilet paper from China. I mean, yeah, maybe, but like basic toilet paper, it comes from the Wisconsin trees that are here. So when they're like, "Oh, that's coming from somewhere else," no,
I prefer my Chinese cherry blossom than your
caressing my bum.
Wisconsin pine trees, breaking my bun.
I want to rub my butt with my pine cone. It's so scratchy. It really gets out all the goo.
I would prefer my paper towels in China, please.
Yeah, just cherry blossom leaves. Yeah, they use a bidet all the time.
I prefer my Pennsylvania more than anywhere.
I guess if they're gonna do that again, just get a bidet and you'd be like, "Ha, doesn't affect me, whatever." I've never tried that before. Right. Have you ever tried one?
Yeah.
You have?
Of course.
Oh well. All right. Anyways, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you later. And remember, we are Aquarius, not you. I mean, you could be, but I don't know.
No, they're Aquarius.
Okay. No, I'm not going to give them that much justice. They have to earn it.
Let them into the club. Let them in.
All right. We'll let the few people in that watch this.
Wait. Let's be one of those people. No, we'll be one of those people. If you subscribe,
then you could be a part of it. If you don't, well, then you're just... Bye.